This is a strange sign in Beyonce's Attack of the 400-Foot Cowboy interlude, which references the 1958 sci-fi horror film Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. The sign reads, Dentist and Marriage Counselor, B. Knowles, DDS. DDS stands for Doctor of Dental Surgery. We know it's an important sign because it gets a full-screen close-up during the interlude. It's clearly meant to be noticed. This is Zadie Smith's White Teeth. The title references the universal human trait of having white teeth, which transcends race and background. Similarly, love is a universal concept that connects people, regardless of their differences. Love is something that can unite us all, despite our diverse experiences and histories. This is Beyonce's tour page. There are 32 stars, corresponding to the 32 dates of the Cowboy Carter Tour. After each show, 1 star turns white. After the final show, on July 26, 2025 at Allegiant Stadium in Paradise, Nevada, the flag will have 32 white stars. In my last video breaking down the flag displayed at the beginning of every show, I pointed out that 32 white stars made me think of how humans have 32 white teeth. In that video, I explained why I believe Beyonce's use of the American flag is deeply intentional. Red, representing the blood of enslaved people who built this country and of indigenous people whose lives were taken. White symbolizes the broken bones of those who labored to build this land and the white marble statues that look beautiful but are cold lies of stone. Blue stands for the justice and law system, which is not protection for African Americans but used as a weapon against them. A system not created for their justice but for their downfall. This creates outlaws, sparking a Malcolm X flavor of civil rights in contrast to the peaceful flavor of MLK Jr. civil rights. Malcolm X's civil rights is disobedient and fierce. You can watch that video here. But I couldn't stop thinking about the 32 stars, the 32 teeth, and this bizarre sign. So what do dentists and marriage counselors have in common, is what I asked myself. And why would Beyonce be both? Let's break it down. Dentists fix teeth. Marriage counselors fix marriages. At first, they seem totally unrelated. But here's the connection. Neither teeth nor relationships can heal or be taken care of on their own without the help of another. Let me explain. To keep your teeth healthy, you have to care for them every day. Brush twice a day. Floss. Avoid too much sugar. If you don't, you might get a cavity. And a cavity does not go away on its own. You need to see a dentist to have it filled. It's not fun, but it's a relatively simple fix that lets you keep your tooth intact. But you do need the help of a dentist to do this. If you ignore the cavity, that cavity will keep growing. It'll eat through the enamel, reach the bone, and eventually infect the root. At that point, you need a root canal, a much more invasive and unpleasant procedure. And likely, you'll get a crown, because most of your original tooth will be gone because you let the cavity eat it away. Ignore it even longer, and you will have to have that tooth pulled entirely. If you still don't get help to have the tooth pulled, you'll be forced to watch your tooth fall out on its own, a slow and traumatic process. It sounds horrible, because it is. That's what happens when you let an infection grow and never seek help when it comes to your teeth. Now, here's what makes teeth so unique. If you break any other bone in your body, it will heal on its own. Maybe not perfectly, maybe you need a cast, but bones know how to repair themselves. Muscles do too. A sprain, a tear, a break, your body will start to recover even without intervention. If you break a bone in your arm and you don't get any medical attention, the bone may heal, maybe in the wrong way, but nonetheless it will heal. It won't just fall out of your body, but leave a tooth to decay and it will fall. So how do you avoid your teeth from getting to this terrible state? By taking care of it. If you take care of your teeth because you've learned how to do so, as you're a kid, you're taught how to brush your teeth and floss. If you continue to do this, your teeth will stay healthy. However, if you do not do these things and take care of them, your teeth will eventually rot if you never seek any kind of help and do not care for them. Teeth do not heal on their own, and neither do relationships. A healthy relationship, like a healthy mouth, needs regular care. You have to check in, talk, and pay attention to your partner, just like your daily brushing and flossing. If you don't do this, small issues start to form in the relationship. You stop talking, you stop asking how they are, you numb out, you choose distraction over connection, sugar instead of nourishment. A cavity begins to form in the relationship. If you grew up seeing people model a healthy relationship and how to repair it, parents who drifted apart but came back together with honesty and love, you probably know what to do in your relationship if these issues start to arise. You've seen people tend to their relationships before, they fall apart and they come back together. But what if you have not had a model for a healthy relationship? What if your parents are just trying to survive, just trying to make it in a system that gave them no room to breathe? And what if their parents were the same? What if generation after generation, no one ever showed you how to care for a relationship, how to mend it, how to ask for help? When the cavity forms between you and your partner, you won't know how to handle it. You'll let it fester. Maybe therapy is shamed in your community, so you won't seek that out. Maybe asking for help is even seen as a weakness, so the infection spreads. The relationship begins to rot from the inside out. Eventually it collapses and you're left wondering what went wrong. But this is not the end of the story. There is hope. All of us have the free will to be able to break generational curses. You can be that someone, somewhere in your family line, who can choose to break the pattern. Someone who can choose to seek help. Someone who can learn to tend to a relationship and break the pattern of ignored love. You can be the one to heal the trauma of broken relationships that have preceded you. You can go on and find a marriage counselor. You could even become the marriage counselor. You can learn how to rebuild love, care for it, even if you were never shown how to. That's the beauty of free will and humanity. Just like a dentist can save a tooth, a counselor can save a marriage. But you have to be brave enough to ask for help. Both teeth and relationships need care. They need tending, especially when you've inherited a history when no one taught you how. As Beyonce said in her 2018 Vogue interview about Lemonade, she says, "I come from a lineage of broken male-female relationships, abusive power, and mistrust. Only when I saw that clearly was I able to resolve those conflicts in my own relationship." The song Daddy Lessons marks a crucial turning point in the album, as Beyonce draws from her own experiences with her father's betrayal to highlight deeper family and societal dynamics. Like many tracks on Lemonade, it reflects her drive to confront and disrupt inherited cycles of pain. In my video dissecting Daughter on Cowboy Carter, I believe this is what she's saying. She became the daughter her daddy taught her how to be. You can watch that video here. It's still very relevant. The heart of Lemonade is about breaking generational curses, especially those rooted in the male-female relationship. It's a story of choosing to heal instead of walk away. It's about seeking help before it's too late. It's about saving what matters with effort, care, and love. It's about forgiveness, but not blind forgiveness, earned, intentional, and rooted in deep self-love and reflection forgiveness. So how does all of this connect to Cowboy Carter and Beyonce's reclamation of America? Well, I find the themes of Lemonade and Cowboy Carter deeply connected to each other, and we know that she would have begun working on Cowboy Carter shortly after Lemonade, as her rejection from the CMAs after performing Daddy Lessons with the Dixie Chicks is what spurred her making Cowboy Carter and starting this journey of reclaiming country. And I think there's an interesting piece of literature that connects Lemonade and Cowboy Carter, and that is Zadie Smith's novel White Teeth. She is a Black British author who is an absolute genius, and White Teeth is maybe her most acclaimed book. It's a sharp, multi-generational novel that explores the weight of cultural inheritance, how the past, especially in post-colonial and immigrant families, shapes identity in the present. Set in North London, the story follows two families, one white English and one Bangladeshi, whose lives intertwine as they navigate questions of race, religion, family expectation, and belonging. At the heart of White Teeth is the struggle between honoring one's roots and forging a new path, especially for the second generation caught between inherited traditions and modern British life. The title White Teeth symbolizes what we pass down, genetically, culturally, and ideologically. Teeth are white, no matter the color of your skin. They are both deeply personal and universally inherited. Just as teeth can't choose where they grow, the characters in the novel wrestle with the legacies that they were born into, trying to make sense of who they are in a world that constantly tries to define them. Do you see how this connects to those who were enslaved in America and the descendants of those enslaved people. Unlike Black British people who have a more close tie to their roots of what African countries they come from, a lot of African Americans in the modern day do not know where their ancestors come from because they were stolen and their histories were erased. African Americans do not have the privilege of knowing what country in Africa that their ancestors had come from. So it makes the African American experience unique because they had to create their entire own culture because their cultures were stripped away from them. And I think this is a big marking of the difference between Black British and African Americans. It is a very different cultural landscape. But I think it's interesting in the story White Teeth by Zadie Smith, nonetheless, that the characters are having to wrestle with the legacies that they were born into, just like the legacies of African Americans in the modern day who were born into this country, who tries to constantly define them. And African Americans have had to fight so hard to build a culture from scratch. It's actually so amazing and so beautiful if you think about that, the resilience and how they made a new culture from nothing. Beyonce's continuous exploration of her familiar past and personal relationships and her place in African American history, both past, present, and future, makes me think that this sign with dentist and marriage counselor B. Knowles, DDS, holds a deeper significance. The trauma of slavery doesn't simply fade over time. We're born into this legacy and this trauma. Even though it's 2025 and we are technically free, the scars haven't healed. The pain continues to echo through Black culture because the root cause, the infection of racism that enabled slavery, was never fully addressed. Like an untreated cavity, this deep-seated hurt only festers, growing stronger and more entrenched, eating away at the very foundation of who we are. But just like any infection, an infection is an infection. Racism is racism. And I know as well as anyone that you cannot change the heart of a cold-blooded racist. You cannot change the heart of a cold-blooded infection. But what you can do is care for your teeth, care for your relationship, care for yourself, and care for your community to not let this infection infiltrate you and who you are and who you believe yourself to be. You can guard yourself from not letting this infection tell you that you are less than. We can't just move on from this history that was inflicted upon us. We need healing. We need that metaphorical dentist. We need the marriage counselor. We need to lean on each other. We need to confront the pain honestly and deliberately. We need to care for ourselves first, emotionally, culturally, and spiritually, and as a group of people who have had this similar experience because of what our ancestors went through. Healing the roots through remembering our history, our culture, our art. Looking back at the amazing art that was alchemized through the pain of those who were enslaved, the songs that they made. In fact, the song Black Betty has old African-American roots tied to it. We invented country music. We brought the banjo here. We invented rock music. We invented performance. We invented the dance, house, and ballroom culture. We are the bedrock of everything that is fly, and we can heal through knowing our foundation, remembering who we are, because our joy runs as high as our pain runs deep. Our healing reaches as far forward as we are able to look back. Reclaiming America starts there. Cowboy Carter is about standing tall in the land as we were brought to against our will, and finally saying, we are here on our own terms now. We are healing as a community. We are not going to allow the infection of racism to infiltrate us, and we are going to be strong. We are going to keep our teeth strong, the metaphorical teeth. We are going to keep our relationships strong. This flag, this American flag, is ours too, and we are defining what it means to wave it. That is all I have for you today. If you made it to the end of this video, comment a tooth and a heart emoji. And if you'd like to support my work, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/lorebreakers. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, love, Lorebreakers.